Oh, that's great. This is rubbish. You're amazing. That's crap. I don't like that. When people say these things, you have to wonder, is that what they actually think, or that's what they've been taught to say? Conditioning how one sees is something that I've been thinking of a lot lately, especially when building this current show. Because conditioning in terms of the eyes and the mind, how one thinks, is based on a lot of things. I feel to a large extent it's based on your environment, it's your culture, your background, your education. These things contribute to how you actually respond, how one responds to what they see. For me, primarily as a painter, I didn't come into the art scene, so to speak, or the art world in traditional ways. And if one does come through what we consider traditional ways, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. But a point or something that I want to kind of talk about is that the thing about tradition is that it can get you into a kind of groove, a kind of way, a kind of groove and a kind of way of seeing something, to a point where what happens, I feel, to the individual is that you give a traditional or educated response as opposed to something that you actually feel or think yourself. Let's say, for example, someone comes to an artist and they say, oh, what inspires you? What makes you paint the way you paint? And I think you can sometimes, in my experience, I found that there's this thing that happens where an individual has an automatic kind of response to that question, and we start using particular kind of words. And I'm not here to say that those kind of answers are wrong, because who am I to say that's not how someone is authentically expressing themselves? But what I am interested in is that I sometimes feel, is that what you actually think? Because someone asked me that question once, and I remember that there were times when I felt, especially in the earlier days when I was kind of introducing my work to the market, that you kind of feel a bit automatically under pressure to kind of respond to the way things are. And then at some point I was like, actually, what inspires me? Like, let's say, for example, I might say fashion, and I can see something in the eyes change when people hear me say that word, because I feel that the word fashion contains has a kind of connotation to it, things that are attached to it. There you go, tradition again. But then when I explain myself further and I say, no, that's what I mean, that there's more to fashion than just something that's like clothes are not just functional to me. Because when I said that to someone who asked me that question once, they were like, what clothes? Like, clothes are just functional. It's just something that you put on. And I was like, is it really? That to me, it's not. Like, it's a lot more than that. It's the way something falls on the body. It's the silhouette, it's the colors, it's an idea. It's actually, you're wearing a piece of art to me. You're wearing someone else's idea, something that became an impression on an individual, and that person had a vision about how that might work on a body. And there's so many things attached to that, like how a painter might look at how paint will respond to a particular surface. Like, those principles cross over. And the minute I start to express myself in that way, then it's like, actually, there you're making a lot of sense. I mean, even if you look at a movie, like, you can tell it's more than functional. You watch a film and you can see that particular characters wear particular things. But why is it that when one's designing a film, or you have the wardrobe department of a film looks to a character, or a director looks to a character and says that, actually, I think that character would wear that, and I think that person would wear that? Because it's more than just function, it's storytelling. It's that an idea is being expressed without words. Even the way you look at the way someone walks. I mean, I said this before, that I have a theatre background, that, an actor would study the body language of an individual, because if I sit like this, then I'm carrying myself in a particular way, and that gives a kind of energy to you. If I sit like this, then something else is happening. And so this is a language. And so going back to this idea of tradition and conditioning and the way we see things, for me, tradition, I mean, engaging with how you see something, I think is reflecting on the things that interest you and the things that you naturally respond to, and then asking yourself, why am I interested in those things? Especially if the thing that you're interested in seems so far removed from the physicalness of your practice. So if you're a painter and all of a sudden you're always drawn to go and listen to music, you're saying, but I'm not a musician. Well, maybe the reason why you're drawn to music is because there's something in the way the music is being expressed, or the way it's being composed, or the way a musician might work that actually connects to you as a painter. And a composer's painting with sound. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but the point for me is to allow yourself to come out of a kind of conditioning, an automatic response to something, and to actually say, how do I really think? And that I means, what do I like? What do I want? What makes me feel a particular way?